Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm looking here, I'm trying to look through your amendment and wanted to ask you why you chose to limit hormones to 16 and 17-year-olds.
I mean, it's a tough decision, Representative, because I feel for all of them, but I think that, already there are, cosmetic surgeries and other procedures that 16-year-olds can make that decision. There are a number of medical procedures and in consultation and consent with their parent or guardian that they can move forward. I just figured, okay, we're using that. It's applicable in law as it relates to cosmetic surgeries. For gender dysphoria or severe gender dysphoria, we ought to be able to use 16 and up as a threshold. And it made sense to me based on what we have in current law.
So there are other types of surgeries that 16 and 17-year-olds can get with parental consent currently, right?
Yes, there are. And again, I mean, the one that I keep harking back on is cosmetic surgery. And so sometimes there's the medically necessary reason for that, and sometimes there aren't. But again, it's a 16-year-old, it's their parent, their guardian, it's their medical care provider, potentially experts, counselors, making sound decisions based on what is in the best interest of that 16-year-old.
So, I mean, you're talking even about, as you said, cosmetic surgery that is done, rhinoplasty or actually breast augmentation is actually done on minors with parental consent, is it not?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So your amendment, though, would still prohibit all surgeries for transgender adolescents diagnosed with gender dysphoria?
It will. I mean, this is an exception that I'm trying to find, I guess, Representative, I'm trying to find a reasonable path, a less intrusive path. I see the extreme, like we're just going to do nothing. And I guess for all the years I've been here, all the subjects I've worked on, I rarely see a policy that just says we're going to shut it down and do nothing else. This, I thought, could be a narrow exception. We know puberty blockers. We know they are used. They've been used for decades. They're used for precocious puberty. We also know that other medical procedures are being done. 16-year-olds are old enough to participate in the decision-making. There is still parental input, legal guardian input. So putting together, I guess, looking at our medical codes and looking at our public policies, we've already made a value statement that we believe that 16-year-olds should have a say and they're capable and competent to participate in their health care. We still like to have their parents and guardians involved, but we've made a threshold to say in certain instances where we're going to actually have some surgery, we're going to take their input, and we're talking here for puberty blockers that we ought to be able to do the same thing. And again, it's not the solution to countering, we're just going to ban it outright. But I think if I was making an argument to an independent neutral, I'd say, well, if we can't keep the current practice and if going under this proposal to take it away altogether, doesn't this seem like somewhat of a middle ground? And that's what I'm hoping to do with this.
So prohibit the surgeries, but allow puberty blockers and hormones to continue when medically necessary with the parental involvement and with the physician saying it's medically necessary.
Yeah, and yes, and just, I mean, let's get off of puberty blockers. Let's talk about testosterone or something else. I mean, there are other hormones that are being prescribed to young adults. And again, it's the same concept. I'm not so sure that what is so specific and abnormal about this hormone therapy that all of a sudden we have to just stop with the way we treat everybody else and say, okay, that may work for testosterone, that may work for cosmetic surgery, but for precocious puberty or for or gender dysphoria, wait a minute, we just can't do that. And that's where it just doesn't pencil. It doesn't pencil for me. And so again, I mean, I'm not trying to make up the policy. I'm trying to see, well, what are we doing in other instances? And if a hormone is a hormone, why don't we just set that threshold and that baseline and allow these individuals to get, in these circumstances, get, the puberty blockers, hormone therapy.
Thank you.
Thank you.